You are now listening to Oversaturated, the podcast, hosted by Johnnie and Ralph. Now let's get it.
Welcome to another episode of Oversaturated, the podcast, where we discuss music, movies, pop culture, and everything in between. I'm Johnnie.
And I'm Ralph.
Welcome to episode number 224.
224, man. I'm podcast poppy this week. No Diddy.
Okay. New listeners, please follow us on all social media. Facebook, just search Oversaturated, the podcast. Twitter is Oversat Podcast. Instagram is Oversat the Podcast, and our email is oversatpodcast@gmail.com. And please be sure to check out our website, oversatthepod.com. Anything you need to know about OS is there.
Yes, sir. If you want to follow us individually, I'm the Mind of Ralph across your social media platforms.
On Twitter, I'm JON2_B. On Instagram, I'm JBS_ESL_AAMU. And special shout out to WDJY-FM 99.1 in Atlanta.
ATL.
Shout out to OS Gang down there in Georgia. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, you can already see that we have a very special guest. I don't even know if we can call her a guest at this point. It's not okay. Our resident pop culture freak is here. Yes, Brittnee. Shout out to Brittnee. What's going on?
What's going on, y'all? Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, you gotta hit the applause. Hit the applause. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today as we get into these topics. But before we get started, how everybody feeling, man? What's going on?
Is right.
We're recording on Resurrection Sunday, and I feel like I have risen myself. A lot of time outside and a lot of alcohol. I am here to pod, but I'm dying on the inside.
Got to know over everything, baby.
Man, what? Jesus Christ. But no, I'm all right, man. But how's everybody, man? How y'all feeling? How you feeling, Britt?
I'm all right. After church nap, it hit and we here.
Listen, those be the best ones for real though.
Oh yeah.
I tried to lay down and take a nap today. It didn't work. I've been watching The Bear. Shout out to The Bear, man. I just finished season 1. Hey, show is fire. I'm not gonna lie. Thanks for everybody. Ralph put me on. A lot of people put me on. So yeah, it's good.
If I can get you on House of Dragon, man, I'm trying to get you over here, man. It's over here. It's great over here, man.
Hey, look.
It's great over here.
I'm not saying no.
Black, baby.
I'm not saying no, but I just say I don't know.
Hey man, it's like Marvel with dragons and old English. Like, you know what I'm saying? You fuck with, man. Shit,
are there any action scenes?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
niggas, man, what?
They go crazy. Nah, the one episode I did watch, I did see the dragons. The dragons was fire.
Well,
there's not dragons every episode, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? House of Dragon.
House of Dragon and Game of Thrones are two different shows. Like Game of Thrones probably a little bit more slow. House of Dragon gets with the shits immediately. I love it. I'm here for it.
It's coming back this summer, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I know summer gonna be lit.
Yes.
Brittnee, you watching any are you watching any shows or keeping up with any shows right now?
Nothing new. I've tried. No, anything that's old school, that's all I do. I'm trying. Like if y'all can get me hip to something new to get me out of my comfort zone, I'm open for all suggestions. But now it's still the same old. Probably about to watch Insecure again for the 1,010th time. Probably. I don't know.
Hey, since you mentioned that, I just finished My Wife and Kid, the whole series, My Wife and Kids. I had never seen. I think we talked about this last part. But like I had never seen it the whole way through. Of course, I've seen episodes, but such a great show, man. Great writing, great stories. And it ended on a cliffhanger. And I had to look it up. But so in between or at the end of season 5, they were scheduled to do season 6, but they got canceled.
Yep.
I was hurt.
Okay.
I was hurt.
And somebody pointed that out that they didn't have a theme song, and I thought
they didn't.
They don't. Yeah.
They got right to it every episode from the beginning.
Crazy.
They ain't even have like the little music they play at the beginning.
Let me ask you this: do you think that's why people don't view it in that light? It doesn't have a theme song.
Viewed in what light?
Like a certain light, like you know, what I'm saying certain sitcoms we fuck with is like, oh, the theme song is this, and then the show is this. Like the fact that they don't have a theme song.
I could see that because I
That's
think
a good point.
theme songs bring some sort of attachment.
Yes,
right.
Sort of attachment.
It's like the show just came on. It's laugh track. Oh, like you know,
getting to it.
Yeah, straight to it.
No, it was great. I love it.
No, that's what's
I love it.
I ain't mad at it.
I love it.
I just thought about that.
No, that's funny. That's funny. Theme songs do bring an attachment too.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what's up. Anyway, we're gonna get to it.
Yeah, man.
Off the dome.
Off the dome.
Off the dome.
I got one for y'all. I think you'll like it. 1994 is the year, and Jim Carey becomes a household name. He drops 3 arguably classics in 1 year.
Yeah.
We have The Mask, we have Dumber and Dumber, and we have Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. We're gonna rank those films.
Okay.
So, which one is 1, 2, and 3?
Jesus Christ. Okay. You know, it's funny. I kind of had a similar question to this, but we'll get into that later on. That's a whole nother. Yeah, that's funny. You know, you go first, Brittnee.
Oh no! I gotta think about that one.
Nah,
Absolutely
cool.
not.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Listen, to me, The Mask off top is just one because it's the Mask. The Mask resident. I love the movie The Mask. Shout out to Cameron Diaz. Shout out to Jim Carrey. The Mask is just it, right? Yeah. The other two could be 2A, 2B for me. I mean, I do enjoy those movies, but they're definitely movies I haven't seen in a very, very long time. I would run and watch The Mask before the other two. Mm-hmm. But if I have to put them in any type of order, I think I'm going Ace Ventura, and then I'll go Dumb and Dumber. Okay. So yeah, The Mask, Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber. That's my ranking. Let's see. Well, Brittney's still thinking. She got the
okay. Well. 2 was already decided. Actually, I can rank 2 of these movies and throw the other one away. The Mask was number 1 for sure. I feel like that movie was tailor-made for a talent like Jim Carrey. Like it's literally a cartoon character. And if you watch In Living Color, before that, right before he actually became a household name, like Ralph said, it was made for him. So definitely The Mask, and just that type of technology back in '94. Yeah. It's something that's not talked about a lot. So definitely number 1 is The Mask. And number 2 is Ace Ventura. Easy. I mean,
yeah.
Dumb and Dumber is probably one of my least favorite Jim Carrey movies. Sorry for anybody who's a fan of it. I just don't particularly care for it. So yeah, it's The Mask, Ace Ventura, and Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. I agree with the last ranking. Well, everybody's 3, right? Mm-hmm. Dumb and Dumber is probably like not my favorite of Jim Carrey's films. I think it's more so of a cult classic, if we're being honest. I know it was a hit because Jim Carrey was in it, but I'm not really that big a fan of that type of comedy, or like where the leads are just that dumb. Like right. So, but I always try to be different from y'all. So I'll say Ace Ventura is first because I enjoy the lead character. I mean, I enjoy Ace. I enjoy the plot point, and then the supporting characters around it. Like that was just hilarious to me. I think everybody like the flip that Lois Einhorn was a man and all that. Right. Like, that was hilarious to me. And then The Mask. I mean, The Mask is The Mask. Arguably, Jim Carrey's best film. For most people to say, just off the fact that they tried to do sequels and this shit was trash.
Son of Mask was crazy. It was crazy.
But yeah,
when you think about it, if we're going by the plot, Ace Ventura is definitely better than The Mask because you had a whole football player that changed genders because of backlash. Like that's pretty genius when you think about it.
It's low key genius. Like
that's genius when you think about it.
It was a real detective plot.
Right. It was good when you think about it.
That's funny. No, no question. All right, so for my off the dome, I was just scrolling and thinking about. Well, that's gonna give away my answer. So let me just get to the question, right? What is y'all's personal? What's a personal classic album that many people probably haven't heard or just disregarded when it came out? So this is a classic album that's tailored to you and what you like that nobody else probably thinks is a classic, or most people wouldn't think is a classic. And if y'all need time to think, I'll give you my answer. Okay. So my answer is The Big Bang by Busta Rhymes.
Okay.
This album, I think by any type of metric that anybody would have, this album would be considered a classic, right? It had the hit, it had Touch It. And back when remixes were a thing, it was like 900 remixes to this song, and they combined all it was crazy, right? And the features on this album were great. He had Missy, he had Stevie Wonder, he had Rick James, Q-Tip, Nas. Features were great, well placed. The deep cuts on this album were amazing. That Rick James In the Ghetto song is amazing. Missy Elliott, How We Do It Over Here is amazing. Any metric I feel like anybody would use to rank to say an album is classic, I think this album has, but I don't think it was that widely received, you know. So that The Big Bang by Busta Rhymes is definitely a classic album.
I got one. I mean, Brittnee, you still thinking?
Yeah, I'm still thinking.
Okay, I'm gonna go the R&B route. I'm gonna go Neo, in my own words, his debut album. I'm not sure if people really put respect on Neo as an R&B artist because they don't consider him the strongest vocalist. But the pen game has always been elite.
For sure.
The singles off of that album, So Sick, Sexy Love, and Stay. Those are the singles. But you had deep cuts like Mirror that probably live outside of the album too. So the album being constructed the way it was, I think he had like a few samples, a few flips of classic R&B soul songs on the album, and then his pen game, and then what you can. His vocals ain't, bad, but I mean, I enjoyed it. And then, Neo got me through a lot of heartbreak, with these rats.
Hey man, look.
So in my own words, I'm just saying it's a classic, and I don't know if people kind of regard it in that,
Yeah, no, I like that's dope. That's a good answer.
Okay, so I'm staying in the R&B realm, and I'm going with Omarion's debut album, O.
Okay.
For that to be a debut album, top to bottom, it's not talked about a lot anymore, but top to bottom, that's probably Omarion's best work. You can tell that vocally and lyrically he was probably held back in B2K, but when you listen to that album, like I said, from top to bottom, like it shows his growth, it shows his maturity, and it showed that he literally had a good talent. So that's one that's actually flown under the radar. So I'm going with that one.
I like that.
That's what's up. Not mad at that. Good off the dome.
Yeah, man, that was off the dome. People rank those Jim Carrey films: Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yep. And then, what is a personal classic album to you that nobody else would deem classic? Let us know.
OS Gang, What's Happening, family and kinfolk. We got Brittnee, one half of your favorite marks in the house, and we just here to talk. The things we want to talk about. Where are we starting here? Right? Do we go with the things that fucked up our childhood first? You gotta get that out the way.
Might as well.
Right, I know, right?
This has been a few weeks in the making, but Quiet on the Set is apparently on Max. If you want to look at that documentary, is on Max. You can go look that up. But Quiet on the Set is a deep dive into Nickelodeon. I guess you would say some of the later years and their relationships with their actors and producers and the culture on the set. So we're here to react to it. So Johnny, Brittnee, what y'all got for that? We want to get in there first.
So let me first say I haven't had a chance to actually sit and watch it, but I've seen enough clips and seen the rhetoric on social media to chime in. So I'll start with that. But it seemed like it was a lot of nastiness going on. Yeah. A lot of nastiness, and like you already alluded to, like our childhood was a lie. And going back and watching clips from certain shows, like as a kid, we didn't really know sexual innuendos and things like that. So the way that some of these clips look today, with us being our ages now, it's like, oh wow, that is insane to actually see some of this stuff, right? Like that was crazy. Like I don't know, it's crazy, and I don't know if I can really bring myself to watch the full series. Like I want to at least try to watch it, but just from some of the clips and thinking back to like how these things were portrayed, it's like, wow, this is insane. This is insane.
What you got?
So when I only watched the first 2 episodes, and when I initially started to watch it, I turned it off like 5 minutes into it. I said, okay, yeah, this is heavy. I ain't ready to watch this yet. I'll come back to it later. But with those first 2 episodes, it's really, really heavy. And if you look at all that, and if you look at, shout out to Katrina Johnson, who was one of the original cast members, and it all makes sense as to why she left so abruptly. Like, I think she turned maybe 15 or 16, something like that. And all of a sudden, once Amanda Bynes came in, she was out. And apparently that's because, you know, she's mature now. She, you know, developed and all that kind of stuff. And Dan didn't see her as that character he wanted to groom anymore. So that's how Amanda Bynes came into play. And it's an eye opener. Like, I just feel bad for people like Amanda Bynes. And I didn't get to Drake's part, but I heard that Drake's part of the episode, which I think is episode 3. I think that's probably the heaviest of it all. I don't know if I'm gonna get into it soon. I don't know, but it just makes me wonder, like, dang, all of us really wanted to be a Nickelodeon kid. And the fact that we seeing this happen and unfold, it's like, nah, no thanks. Glad that we didn't do the audition. Glad we didn't go to Nickelodeon Studios to do anything of that nature. And what's his name? The guy, the Dre from Hardball. I can't remember his name. Is it Brian or
Brian?
Brian.
But I don't remember his last name, but yeah, Brian.
The fact that whole part of his acting career is the reason why his mom and the relationship between him and his mom pretty much was dead for a long time. Like, that was heartbreaking. Like, literally, she was just speaking up for her son. And he didn't see that back then. He sees it now, but like, you could just see the pain in his eyes. Even when you watch the episode, you can still see that he's still dealing with that. He's still hurt. I don't know what his relationship is like with his mom now, but you can definitely tell that did some damage to their relationship. And adults are just creepy. Now, I can't all of them not, but adults are creepy and just hide your fetishes behind kids. Like, that's weird. But if you've watched it, I would love to hear other people's thoughts. Like, if you're listening online, like, what y'all think about it. But it's definitely heavy. So, and I want to know about Disney, because when I think about Disney, I think about Lee Thompson Young, like what he went through.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, we already see, you know, Orlando Brown,
right?
Or you even use Shia LaBeouf as an example.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
But oh no, good.
Well, I was gonna say the thing about Disney is whatever was in their contract about speaking up about what was going on behind the scenes isn't up yet. The young lady that was on That's So Raven, not Raven, of course, but
the other girl, Chelsea, yeah.
I've seen a series of TikToks from her saying basically like she can't wait until like that part of the contract is up where she can start speaking out, because we already see what Nickelodeon, you know, what was happening at Nickelodeon, but at some point in the near future, we're going to see all of this again rehashed through Disney. So it's coming. It's coming.
But just circling back to the original doc, right? I've watched 3/4 of it, so I've seen the first 3 episodes. Like, I watched that Drake episode, and you know, I haven't made it to the 4th. I don't think I can honestly bring myself to. It's a lot, and the reason why I'm kind of like, I'm invested, but I ain't really all the way there, is because that's not my generation of Nickelodeon. So I wasn't there for Drake and Josh. I wasn't there for that ideation of all that with Jamie Lynn Spears and Amanda and those guys, you know, those characters, those cast members. So if it was like Keenan Kel, Josh, Lori Beth Denberg, like, you know, I was like, oh my God, this happened then. Like, if Omar Gooding sat down and said something happened to Wild Crazy Kids, I would have been like, no. Like, I'd have been like floored. So I wouldn't say it like necessarily messed up my childhood, but it's kind of like, damn, this was happening to a network that definitely groomed a lot of the things that I was watching. And then by that time, you know, I think most of us just kind of aged out and started watching other things. Maybe we went over to Disney, where it was like a little bit more age appropriate, where it felt like Nickelodeon catered to kids. Like, you know, we're teens and tweens at this point. It's like, you know, Drake and Josh is cool, I guess. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not watching that as a kid. Like, you know, I'm 12. I'm not watching that. But, and then that would have been like, and you have to think about it, Keenan Kel, those guys were older than us, so they appealed to us as big brothers and big sisters or whatever. So by the time we aged out, they're looking at people our age to replace them. So that's where Drake and all those guys, because they're literally our age right now. So but the story about Drake is so heartbreaking, because like, he just wanted to be a star. He wanted to be a kid star. And who doesn't? He was talented, he could sing, he could act, all that great stuff. And he was taken advantage of by a producer. And the thing that hurts is just the dad was like know from the jump. Like he
right.
saw the
he
bullshit from
knew.
the jump, and it's just like he couldn't do anything to protect his son. But I'm not blaming the mom, but it's like you kind of have to take some responsibility in that. You let your child sleep over at producer house, crazy. And you can't tell anybody how to react when they've been sexually abused. So yeah, could have Drake said something then? Possibly, but he's a kid. He doesn't know what to do with those emotions.
And adults don't believe kids anyway. So if he said something, they probably thought he was telling the truth. That's the hardest thing to say, but that's how I was as a kid.
It's either that or as a child, you think this is normal, right? Like especially being in the type of space that he was in as a child star. It's like if his mom, the person that gave birth to him, if he feels like his mom thinks it's okay for him to go and spend the night at the producer's house, then who is he to say, Mom, I'm uncomfortable or this doesn't feel right or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And like Ralph said, she really has to take some type of responsibility because what type of parent, I don't even want to just say mother, but what type of parent would just allow their child to just go stay with someone else without any type of checkups or, hey, how you doing? Like any of those types of things, right? Like to me, that's crazy.
Yeah, and and that's why the mother wasn't on the documentary. Like they found the dad. The dad broke down. You know, Drake sitting down and telling his side of the, he got into it, and then like the court documents can speak about the severity of what he went through. Like I was like, it was pretty graphic. So yeah. And a lot of those assistant PAs and those are the real pedophiles, the ones that were grooming the children. And Dan Snyder being who he was. I didn't know who Dan Snyder was. I heard the name, but he was the manager from Good Burger. I didn't know that. Wow. And I know they asked Keenan in a recent interview. I think he went on, probably voluntarily did this. And I don't think it was like him trying to save Dan Snyder in a way, but he was just like, I hate when he kind of says it wasn't my experience, which it wasn't. But I know he said he was just saying that, I feel bad for all parties involved, that type of thing. Kind of the political type of answer, But
so let me ask y'all this. Speaking of that, responses. Do you all think what's his name? Justin? Was it Justin? Jordan?
Who? Jason?
The one that he had the show on Nickelodeon as well.
Oh,
Willie or Fred?
Oh yeah, JJ. Yeah.
Do y'all think his response was insensitive?
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, remind me what he said.
What did he say? Like, ain't nobody do nothing to me, or something. Like he was jokingly saying that as a tweet. Oh, got it. Well, little JJ is a comedian. That's his brand. Like he's always like. I mean, I don't think this was a laughing matter, but I think he was just trying to say that that shit ain't happening to me. Yeah, and that's kind of like what Keenan is saying. But JJ just said it in a joke, right? Like what I'm saying, which. It can be looked up as sensitive because that's the era of Nickelodeon JJ was a part of. So if it was definitely happening there, it's like, oh no, they ain't happening to me though. Like,
right?
Could he have delivered it differently? Yes, I understand. Yeah. I understand him being a comedian and saying it in a joking matter, but like it's serious. You got to think about the people in the doc, like the people that these things happen to, right? They're at some point they're going to see this. Yeah. So yeah. I can see how it can be taken as insensitive. Absolutely. It's crazy. The whole thing is crazy. And in another 3 to 5 years, we'll be going through the same thing with Disney once the Disney docs come out. Like
and that stuff probably gonna be heavier.
Like it's insane.
That might be heavier because I'm invested in those shows. Like
nothing
better not happen to Colin Craig. Fuck you,
like,
right now.
Because if you pay attention to like people like Raven, like. It's almost like if you watch. So Raven had an episode of Uncensored on TV One, and like literally 80 to 90% of her acting, even when she was a teenager, she don't even remember. She pretty much blocked out. So it makes me wonder, did she go through something? Did she have issues? Like I said, anytime she's embracing Raven now, especially like with Raven's home and stuff like that. But on that episode, like literally. Mental block. Like I don't remember none of that. I don't remember this scene. I remember that. So it's interesting. That pretty much was really loud, and she didn't even say a whole lot.
Raven might have been in the 360 with Disney at that time because you got to think Raven had her own show. She was merchandise there. She was in movies, like everything. Like if there honestly wouldn't be a Disney Channel as big as it was without the eco center of Raven being there. You know what I'm saying? So I could probably see how she feels like that. Like, oh, I just don't remember doing that.
and to us, the Raven Simone time era at Disney, for us it went by like that because we're we're watching, but we're living our lives as well. But for Raven, that shit probably took forever because Raven, That's So Raven, Cheetah Girls, then they had like 2 or 3 Cheetah Girl movies or something like that. They had 3. So her being in show business and being on the shows, recording all the seasons of the movies as well, it's like that for her probably. Even though it was, let's just say, 10-ish years, right? That probably felt like a lifetime. That was a whole different Raven at one point in her life, right? But for us, it just went by like that. And I guess I can see how she would try to forget depending on what was going on behind the scenes. We only saw the bubbly, I'm having a premonition, I'm interacting with my friends Raven. We're Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Future and all this kind of stuff. That's the only thing we saw, but we have no idea what was going on behind the scenes at all. Yeah. It's insane. It is insane to even think about, man.
Right. And speaking of things going on behind the scenes and our childhood just being flawed, right? Let's switch lanes and talk about MTV's TRL, Total Request Live. That was pretty much a staple when the late 90s and early 2000s. On a recent interview on Pablo Torre's podcast, he pretty much had I don't know if this guy actually worked for MTV, but he explained that TRL was a hoax. Like it really wasn't real. Like it never had the thing where it felt like you were actually you were voting on the video. So it felt like it gave us a sense of control to the consumer, but that actually wasn't it. Yep. They told us what was hot and we went for it. So pretty much, I know we all kind of watched the clip. So do you have any takeaways from that? TRL pretty much not being what it was built up to be.
In hindsight, I think it makes sense. I think for a very, very long time, just in the music industry, period, executives, label heads, executive producers of TRL, maybe even 106 in Park, I feel like they have always known and have tried to manipulate the public when it comes to music, right? Yeah. TRL is probably the reason NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys are as big as they are, or were at one point, because you have the illusion that all of these people who enjoy these bands, enjoy this music, are voting for these people every day. Yeah. That's why they're constantly pumping music out. I think in the clip they said NSYNC's debut album did 2 million in 1 week. Second album, one of the albums did 2 million in 1 week, right? That's from TRL. That's from TRL. So it doesn't surprise me that they were able to manipulate these things. It really does not surprise me. And the fact that they were kind of gatekeeping other genres of music as well to not make it to number 2 or number 1, like the rock music. They mentioned the band Korn. I love Korn, right? But for the longest time, they retired Korn at number 3 because every week for 2 or 3 months, they were number 3. They never made it to number 2 or number 1. That's crazy.
There was a particular brand of music that only made it big at TRL. Yeah, it was definitely the teen pop type of stuff that was easily palatable to most audiences, right? Even if we want to use hip hop, Eminem was the only one that really had a mainstay over there. Even though Eminem wasn't he was one of the biggest rap artists, but let's just not say he was the only one that could be on TRL. Right. So, and then he lived in a world where he did Britney Spears and NSYNC anyway, so it's kind of on brand. If we got Britney Spears at 6, let's have Eminem at 5, right? You know what I'm saying? And then everybody else that he's talking about, Limp Bizkit was big, Backstreet, NSYNC, Korn, Jessica Simpson. We can keep 98 Degrees. We can keep going down the pop tree at that point. And TRL told us that they were hot. Yep. Not to say, they weren't good bands or good acts, but TRL told us. So we was like, oh.
And then it was so smart for them to create the illusion that the people were actually voting, calling in and doing all these things, right? Literally all an illusion, because they wanted the participation. That brought them the revenue that they needed. The people in the studio, the people standing outside. I remember every artist looking out from the window, looking down,
and then doing like the waving and stuff.
Holding up signs and all. Like I remember that. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. Marketing is a hell of a drug. Like that's nuts. Yeah. So do y'all think? Oh my bad. You gonna say something, Brittnee?
That makes me think about 106 in Park. Like,
yes,
did they use other outside things to make their top 10 list and just cover it up by going online to vote? Like going based off sales or like looking at the Billboard charts and using that as a reference to rank their systems. Like it makes sense now and it makes you wonder, is that a hoax as well? Or was that a hoax as well? Just to get us to tune in. Because, we were seated at 4:30. Whatever time TRL came on, 3 o'clock, 3:30, we were seated. So
because then they come on one came on right after the other or something like that. Yeah,
I think TRL was first.
Yep.
TRL was
106. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was fake too. And I also wouldn't be surprised if the labels, right? The labels actually paid BET or 106 or whatever to say, hey, I want my artist better be the top 3 or number 1 or whatever. Like,
because that's what they did with radio stations anyway. We paying you money under the table to promote this song.
Exactly.
And then we grew attachment to like those VJs or those personalities that led those shows. Like Carson Daly is the TRL goat, just like AJ and Free we look at over at 106 in Park. So it's like we bought into those personalities, and they maybe they did know, you know what I'm saying? But I know that's not their story to tell. They were just the hosts, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they're not the producers, they're not the people that pull the strings at these shows. But if TRL has that model and 106 came after it, let's come on now. Let's be honest about it. Let's be honest about this. Like, yes, we had the white version of the show, we got the black version. Like, so you can't tell me the black version wasn't doing what the white people was doing. Like they told us, if Genuine There It Is number 4, goddamn, it's number 4. Like, I mean, Genuine There It Is a great song, but I know that was like a staple. Like Genuine is like a 106 in Park GOAT. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like they told us that NSYNC was hot over here, Genuine's hot over here.
Yep.
And you could tell that competition was getting tough between the two of them because, like, that's when 106 Park was like bringing out the real heavy hitters to perform on the show and like guests and stuff like that. So it does make me wonder if they was definitely one and the same as far as how they did their marketing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to see when both of them started. 106 in Park debuted in 2000. 2000. Okay. And I'm trying to see what year TRL debuted.
I feel like it was like 98, 99, because you had whenever like Backstreet Boys, everybody's back and all that, like Backstreet's back. Like I feel like like so it's like staples like that.
You're right. September 14, 1998 is when TRL debuted. Now I'm thinking, when did Viacom purchase BET? Because
Red 2000, I'm gonna say.
Because whenever that happened, maybe that is the case where, all right, we know we got the black and white version, so let's make sure we do, have the same formula, but for different demographics of audiences, right? Yeah. That's insane.
Who lasted longer?
106 in Park, by the virtue of it kept going for, I want to say 10 years, I want to say.
Okay.
Because it has so many, like, and the thing is, you can still identify 106 in Park in eras, right? It's the AJ era. Then you had, like, I know Big Tigger kind of slid in for a while.
And then
Roxy and Terrence. And then you had Bow Wow hosting for a second. So, and I think Bow Wow was probably the last mainstay host, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So TRL ended in 2008. And I'm trying to see, 106 in Park ended in 2014.
Oh, dang.
I know, right? That's crazy. But I think that's, to your point, the different eras.
Yeah.
AJ and Free, Roxy, Terrence, and then Bow Wow.
Yeah, so, and I can't even tell you who hosted TRL as a mainstay after Carson Daly left.
Oh, yeah.
That might be, and I might be missing that. And I think Carson stayed a very long time.
He did. Damn, that's crazy. Like, I want to say I can't believe that this is a thing with them manipulating the numbers and fabricating everything, but no, it all makes sense.
Yeah, and then
it makes sense.
One point that they put out in this, and it made so much sense. They was like, all right, look, we know people in the South don't watch that much, so how can we get a Southern demographic to watch TRL, which is a New York based show? Oh, let's get Simpsons from Texas. Yep. I was like, oh, Like, not to say Jessica Simpson was like Christina or Brittnee.
You know what I'm saying? She's a Southern version.
But she's a like when you start thinking about all them other pop princesses like Mandy Moore and all them, like they can sing, I guess, but I don't really care about them like Brittnee and Christina, because Brittnee and Christina was clearly the it, you know, and everybody else just kind of had to fall in line. But if you're trying to pull in different demographics to keep your show popping, like you see, it's rigged, right? Mm-hmm. So let's pull in Jessica Simpson.
So okay, let me ask y'all, because the way that we're talking about this, it sounds as if TRL was the gateway for these artists to be as big as they were, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's the equivalent of that today?
We don't have that.
We don't have that.
We don't have that. Like the industry can't gatekeep anybody anymore to where like, oh, this person is hot. We dictate to them who's hot. You know what I'm saying? Like now there are industry plans, like we'll get to, you know, maybe that in a later conversation here, but it just comes with like the label can't groom or, you know, artists develop anybody anymore. So it's kind of like y'all pluck people from the timeline and Instagram and all this stuff to make them artists. We already know who they are. And then with the threat of AI becoming a thing, hell, you know, what's the
man,
that's interesting that I brought that up. That we don't have that in 2024. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's actually kind of sad, but at the same time, things kind of different back then. Mm-hmm. Coming up as far as music and what we listen to. So if you even wanted to do that, like where would you even start? Like, because you know you probably can't have the same format as like a 106 or a TRL.
You can't, and that I think that also goes back to the conversation me and Ralph had a few weeks ago about there being superstars in music. Like, it's really not a thing anymore. It's really not a thing. And if it even were to become a thing again, how would that person have a breakout year, a breakout album, breakout song? Like, how does that even work now? I don't think it can.
And the thing is, it's so many artists and there's so many like lanes of music for people to break into. There's no real like crossover artists, right? Like we got artists that are big to black people. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if you know, like say we go have a Beyonce conversation later, but it's like Beyonce may not just live in certain spaces over there with the whites, and that's fine. But if Beyonce was doing this 20 years ago, right? You know what I'm saying? Like in the mid 2000s, Beyonce had this level of everything she has now. 20 years ago, she'll be unstoppable.
Oh, for sure.
Because nobody would be able to look at it like that. Because it's like, oh, she's dominating on both sides.
Yep. And they, oh man. So is there an artist like that today?
I mean, you can still say like a Beyonce, like Beyonce Taylor. Like, I mean, you know who's the it people, right?
Right.
It's just how you don't know how other sides of them feel because there's no. It used to be one place you can go to kind of gauge where their star power was. So they went to TRL and all the people going crazy with their signs. Oh, it must be big then. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't happen anymore. So it's kind of like you just go off, I guess, concert footage. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was about to say. Can you sell out an arena? Can you sell out a stadium? Like what?
Like, what do your album sales still look like in a digital age where people don't buy albums?
Yeah.
So that kind of speaks to it too.
Damn, that's crazy.
Well, speaking of somebody that's just, you know, struggling out here with the music, you know what I'm saying? Lizzo has announced that she's quitting music. Yeah.
Hey, that was funny. Let me read this thing, this passage that she put out. So this is Lizzo, and I quote: "I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life and on the internet. All I want is to make music and make people happy and help the world be a little better than how I found it. But I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views, but being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look. My character being picked apart by people who don't know me and disrespecting my name. I didn't sign up for this. I quit." End quote. How do we feel about this? Oh, wow. That's crazy.
This has nothing to do with Lizzo personally. I just have to lead with that, right? Because I'm not. Listen, I'm not big body shaming when I'm sitting here. Like,
okay.
that's not where we're going with it. It's just that I don't care about Lizzo's music, right? I really don't. Like, you know, baby, you can take that shit, you know, that Target shopping music somewhere else. I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people be in their cold t-shirts and wet seals listening to your shit. I don't know that.
Wet seal? Is that?
About none of that, man. Like,
He didn't say Forever 21. He said wet seal. That's crazy.
Shit about it. Like, okay, but I mean, but okay. Seriously, right? I do get where she kind of, most artists go through this, right? They kind of fall out of love with music. They fall out of love with the industry, the politics, and things like that. Lizzo has had, I mean, I dare say she's a beneficiary of certain things. Her, like, is she talented? Can she sing? Can she dance? Can she play the flute? Yeah, all that shit is great. But you built your platform, you know, damn near in a gimmicky kind of state. You can still be a big, beautiful woman and not, you know, lean into certain tropes that you put on yourself. Like, I feel like a lot of stuff is self-inflicted. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Listen, we know the world hates fat people, so we understand that part.
Of course.
Like, so we're gonna get past that. So, but you know how to play the game. You can still be a big woman or a big beautiful woman and still do your thing and still be appreciated. I think for the people that love Lizzo, they fucking love Lizzo.
Oh, for sure.
For the people that just don't, and then I don't think she ever made a brand of music that I care for. That's why I don't really care about the conversation per se. But I can see a space where she inhabits and people love what she does. So that's where I go with that.
Ooh.
I think Lizzo, I don't know how to say this without coming out like sound like it's an insult. Her music doesn't live up to the hype of Lizzo herself. Of course, you got a couple of like women's empowerment songs, stuff like that, but I don't know. I think the honest truth is she has hit a plateau, and instead of like doing what any other artists do, just take a break from social media, she decided to air this part out so she can get that type of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sympathy.
I get type of encouragement from her fans to keep pushing, to not give up. But you know, anybody else who feel like they've hit a plateau, they just don't say nothing. They just dip out, goes, come back, bam, there go an album. You back on the charts again. But she constantly seeks this attention and this type of compliments from her fans. And I don't know. It's just take a break, girl. Just chill out, go do what you got to do, and then come back and do whatever, because you have a fan base. Your shows sell out. Let's just call it what it is. But yeah, I think Lizzo's issue is when it comes to like body positive, that is pretty much shining, put like a cloud over her music and herself as an artist. Yes. So I feel like she may have done too much over the top to like, here I am, I'm big, I'm beautiful, this, that, and the other. If y'all like it, y'all like it. If y'all don't, whatever. But yeah, I think she puts too much focus on that instead of her music, and I think that's where she is now.
That last part that you just said, I agree with that 100%. I feel like we can look at this from two different ways, right? From the music standpoint, Brittnee, you are absolutely correct. She put way too much emphasis on body positivity rather than her music. Now, again, wanting to be body positive, cool, like turn up, do what you got to do. But that seemed like what she presented herself as far as her celebrity, right? Doing a lot of goofy shit. Let's just put that out there. Going to the Lakers game with her ass out like that. Come on. And I think a lot of that kind of backfired on her, and she didn't really know how to take it.
Right.
Now, again, Lizzo's music ain't for me either, but the few songs that I did hear that I did know, that was cool. Like when I'm in Forever 21, but like it's cool. Like I bet I'll nod my head as I'm looking at shirts and shit. Like it's cool. But it wasn't enough emphasis on what she can do as an artist. She could have put out a remix album with Andre 3000. She could be doing that right now on tour with him, playing the flute. But no, like that's not what she's doing, right?
Then the allegations don't really help either. So
that's where I was getting to that next. Right now, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes in her camp or whatever, but you got multiple people coming out saying you did something. I mean, you got to fight, court of law, fight it, you know, whatever. Right. Do what you got to do. So that could play a part in her wanting to quit music as well. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yep.
The other thing, as I was reading that, and I mean, knock on wood, I pray to God nothing happens to her, but it almost sounds like an internal cry for help, like with her saying, it feels like the world doesn't want me in it. Now, to me, that sounds a little
crazy,
unaliving. I don't want to go too serious, but it does kind of sound like that. I hope that's not the case. And Lizzo's family and friends, I hope that they were checking on her, wrapping her with love and things like that, because that sounds like a serious statement to me. So I hope that wherever she is, I hope that Lizzo's okay. And do I really think she's going to quit music? I really don't think so.
Right.
I think she just needs a break. Whatever's going on in her life at the moment, I hope she gets past it, but she just needs a break. That's all it is. Social media break from music, cool. Take your break, take your extended time, vacation, heal, whatever it is you need to do, go for it, and then just come back stronger than ever. Because like you said, Brittnee, Lizzo does have a fan base. She has a fan base. She was just on tour last year or the year before with Lotto. So
sold out.
Going crazy. So I really don't think she's quitting music. She just needs a break.
The thing with the artists these days, their brand is so heavily tied to what they do on social media, right? And Lizzo, like we said, has been kind of gimmicky in her approach to her artistry. Like a lot of people don't let their artistry just stand and speak for themselves.
Right.
And they get burnt out because they already in these big 360 deal contracts where they got to do so much to fulfill the contract. And then let's take it to somebody that everybody does kind of like, Meg Thee Stallion, right? She went to the whole, I need a break type of thing. She was off social media for 2 weeks and came back with a new song. Like, goddamn, it's true. Like you said, you was gonna take a break, and then we was being nice. I know me and Johnny was being nice with it because, like we said, people hate fat people. So it's like, we're gonna give Meg a little bit more credit because she's Meg, right? But the thing is, Lizzo's cheeks clap a different way than Meg's cheeks clap. So we just okay, that was wild.
Right?
But seriously, but they do the same thing on social media, but Meg should get reshared where for a different reason than Lizzo's, right? We're cracking.
That's a valid point.
So, but it's the same thing. Like their brands are so heavily tied to social media, and that's where they get burnt out. And not to say Meg isn't a talent or Lizzo isn't a talent, but if they take a break, their brand dies. Like they can't. They listen. If Meg took 2 years off for real, and she came back in 2 years still rapping Hot Girl Meg, it's up. Like it's done for her. Like she's not coming back cooking like that. And Lizzo definitely can't take 2 years off in the pop space.
No.
Coming back talking about whatever it is, because as big as Lizzo is, no pun intended on the big, I'm talking about her stature, right? As far as her stardom. If she takes 2 years off, she's cooked. Like she can't come back. Not to be the Lizzo, especially if she doesn't reinvent herself.
Yeah. She's absolutely gonna have to do that. So I've never been to a Lizzo show, but I assume like she incorporates playing the flute a lot in her show. I would imagine. I've seen clips, right? So if she were to, I think she needs to take an extended break.
Yeah.
So when she comes back, like Ralph just said, she really does have to reinvent herself. So maybe she pushes the flute playing a little bit more with the music and leaves it at that. Everything else, just leave it by the wayside.
Leave it where it is.
Yeah, man.
Like we get it, girl. You big, we got it. We understand. One big girl to another. I get it, girl. Like you ain't gotta bring that up every single time or take a picture.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to. That's not. If you want to be an artist, focus on your artistry. Beyonce says it all the time. If you're an artist, stick to that. The other stuff, whatever, but stick to what you are actually famous for. And a lot of people today, they don't.
Yeah.
And when you come back, turn them comments off.
That's it. Turn them off.
Turn them off. Or have your team post. And she doesn't even have to be on social media. I know a lot of celebrities have social media teams that that take the pictures, do the posting, all that. So just do that. You don't even got to be on there. It's crazy.
Yeah, but shout out to Brittnee, man, because she always sets up the fire segues, right? Like she just mentioned Beyonce, and not to mention that she's just a podcaster. She is a a contributor to Audio Fix with the dope countdown ranking of Beyonce albums. So we're here to discuss, here to debate. Like, well, I mean, Brittnee stand on business, so she already said just what she already said what it is. Like, hey, y'all just got to deal with it. But we're here to discuss and somewhat debate. She ain't gonna change her mind, but we're here to.
No, I'm not. so I have, because that list was put together as just a fan of music and just based off the stats and all that stuff, cultural impact, all that kind of stuff. But my bias list is a little different.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So let's get into it, John. You got to pull it up, bro.
Yeah. So again, this is written by Brittnee.
Yes.
Shout out to Brittnee. And this is titled "Beehive Beware." Every Beyonce album ranked. And like the disclaimer she just gave, this is from a music lover's perspective. This is not her personal list. All right, let's get to it. So I'm gonna go down the list, starting at number 8, and then we can get into it. All right, so number 8, we have The Lion King, The Gift.
Yeah.
Number 7, we have I Am, Sasha Fierce. Mm-hmm. Number 6, Dangerously in Love. Number 5, we have 4. Number 4, we have B-Day. Number 3, we have Renaissance. Number 2, we have Beyonce. And number 1, we have Lemonade. Audience react.
Audience
react. I don't think I'm mad at this. I mean, number 8 should definitely be there. The Lion King joint. I mean, yeah. Okay, let's start here. Ralph, are there any surprises to you on the ranking of this list?
Oh, absolutely. Dangerously in Love being Beyonce's probably purest R&B album being that low. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It's kind of like I look at Dangerously in Love kind of like I look at Confessions. Oh, watch what I do, right?
Okay.
The lead single does not match the body of the album. Like, yeah, it's a sore thumb in Confessions, just like Crazy in Love is a sore thumb in Dangerously in Love. When you get into Dangerously in Love, the album is immaculate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a pretty solid to great R&B album, especially if you're talking about somebody's debut album. Now, as far as being where in Beyonce's discography, I would say it's somewhere in the 3 to 4 range. Mm-hmm. But that's, where I would put it. But I wouldn't have it that low.
And honestly, I think I agree with that. Especially with the single, the point about the single that you made, it's not a representation of the body of work. Mm-hmm. And just thinking to that era, right? The early 2000s, you needed like that big up tempo hit to sell the album, right? Because it was a different time, a different era in music. This is way before streaming. People still got to buy CDs. This is the TRL 106 and Park conversation we had, and all of that is there, right? Yep. So I get it. But I think Dangerous and Love should be just a little bit higher. What's up?
From a music standpoint, the reason why Dangerously in Love is ranked low is because if you look at where Beyonce is now, even with Cowboy Carter just being released, I don't want to say this word. Sorry, Beehive, but if you look at the rest of her body of work compared to Dangerously in Love, it's mediocre compared to the rest of it. It's so like you got Lemonade, you got Self-Titled, like even B-Day, Renaissance, and it's so strong, and it showed like where she is as far as her level of maturity. You look at Dangerously in Love, like, oh, I forgot she did that. Oh yeah, I forgot that album was actually that good. But you got this album over here, like this is like light years ahead. So that's pretty much why it was super low.
I hate that you're making points right now. But I mean, I can't even counter that. Like that is a very strong argument, right? Because when you think about Beyonce, her best bodies of work come 9 years after her debut. Like the Beyonce Self-Titled album, the one that changed music, one of the people that say that she should have got Grammy, album of the year, all that stuff. Even though Lemonade is like, it's kind of like you go like this with those albums. But Beyonce's Self-Titled album coming out in 2014, I remember, we remember what that did to the streets.
Absolutely.
Like what's going on? And that came out 9 years after Dangerously in Love. I get the point. Like, you know what I'm saying? I get the point.
And I mean, okay, as again, like Rob said, Brittnee made points, right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense because as great of an artist as Beyonce is, you're supposed to elevate every album you put out.
Right.
So by that metric, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
It makes perfect sense. So I'm not mad at it. So on your personal Beyonce ranking list, where do you put Dangerously in Love?
Where did I put it on that article?
This is 6. It's at 6.
It'll be a top 5 on my personal.
Top 5. Okay.
Number one not even Lemonade on my personal. It's number 2 on mine. B-Day number 1 on my personal.
Okay.
It's kind of like you look at like Dangerously in Love set it up.
Right.
B-Day kind of like, okay, we might have to start taking it a little bit more seriously in this
Right.
pop space. Like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was the third one? I Am.
Number 3.
I Am.
Swing and a Miss. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, Josh.
That was you know, it was looking a little bleak out there from Mrs. Carter Knowles at that point.
I
You know
just think.
I mean, what if that came second? We like, okay, she's having a sophomore slump, but that's your third album. We like,
Right.
But she was really trying to elevate it with like Halo and those types of songs, like trying to take it to a different stratosphere. I think that, if she never came out that Lion King shit, this would be her clearly.
It would be dead last. Like I said, it would be dead last.
That's
Sasha Fierce, it did nothing. Like, shout out to Diva for obvious reasons, but she could have
ring alarm and all that.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. But now 4 is something that I hold to a very high regard. I feel like the singles on that album are like the singles and the deep cuts actually go keep kind of all together for me. But I know that's not better than Beyonce or Lemonade. But if I find myself listening to a Beyonce album, no Diddy, I would listen to the.
Come on, fam. That's funny.
Niggas is wild, man. You can't listen to nothing without niggas.
I would rank Self-Titled high as well, only because while B-Day was her first album where each song had a visual,
yeah.
Beyonce is the only person that can literally just drop a whole album with videos out the blue, and it's arguably one of the best things ever. Like, literally, I'll never forget it. Scandal just went off. I was sitting right here in my room, and all of a sudden I look up like, Beyonce got an album out? Wait, Beyonce got an album out with videos for every last song? Oh, let's turn this up. Like, who can do that in this modern day era of music? Nobody but Beyonce can do that. Like, literally, when it comes to albums, you have to have some type of promotion behind it, or nobody care about it. Yeah. Beyonce don't have to do that.
And the beautiful thing about it, right? Like, this is the surprise album. It changed music. And the reason that it was allowed to be looked at in that light, because the music actually matched up with what she was doing, right? Like, you just can't drop a surprise album out of nowhere and it's trash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You can't do, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the music has to hit, and arguably it hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, indeed. So, number 1, Lemonade, right? Tell us about the reasoning behind Lemonade being her top album.
Lemonade, from a music standpoint, is literally us it's Beyonce giving us a front row seat to her personal life. This is Beyonce telling us, hey, yeah, I'm Beyonce. I got this, I got that. But Beyonce go through tough times. Beyonce gets cheated on. Beyonce goes through insecurities. Beyonce goes through self-doubt, wondering if I'm worthy of this and that and the other. And I think that was Beyonce at her purest form as far as an artist.
Yep. And at this point, she is Beyonce, right? She's Beyonce.
Right.
She's past Beyonce knows. She's past.
That's gone.
This is Beyonce, right? And like you said, the fact that Beyonce is this larger than life artist, a superstar, whatever what's beyond that, that's what Beyonce is at this point. Yeah. And for her to let us know through the music that yes, I go through shit too. I'm hurt music. Hey, hurt music always hit the best, right?
Oh yeah.
And coming from an artist such as Beyonce at her caliber, we get that, and yeah, I understand. I understand why Lemonade would be number 1. So
because we was weird, like, okay, so who Becky with the good hair? Like,
look,
like we was like, so who gonna do the research? Like, who Becky? Like, who who is this woman that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce with? I'm like, bro, like she literally letting us know it all. Like it's her most vulnerable album. That's why I ranked it number 1.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, with that, have you listened to Cowboy Carter yet?
I have.
Have you, Ralph?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So, Brittnee, based on this list and I guess the how many ever times you've listened to the Cowboy Carter album so far, where would you rank it right now with the list that you have? I know it just came out. I understand that, but just
okay.
I
certainly think it's better than Renaissance. So
well, I can imagine that.
I had Lemonade, Subtitle, and Renaissance, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do Lemonade, Subtitle. I actually might put Cowboy Carter 4, number 3. And the only reason why is because Beyonce, her ability to adapt to a different brand, to a different genre of music is definitely astonishing, to say the least. Like literally, if you listen to the whole album, it's literally just a big radio station. Wow. A radio station on a loop. And I think the meaning behind this album is why I rank it high, because it's definitely a tribute to her mother. And Black women in general, like of course with Blackbird and stuff like that. I like it. I love it. Like it's with Renaissance, I started it. I stopped listening to it and I came back to it. But Cowboy Carter, the whole way through the first time. Wow. I didn't skip any. The only 2 songs I skipped, well, the only one song I skipped is Texas Hold'em. I don't too much care for that one. I
didn't really care for that song either. I mean,
I don't like that one. That's
it's a good song, but it
can go on about its business.
I can see a country album being better than a dance album, right? Because of the songs, right? Like country has a little bit more oomph and a little bit more meaning behind the songs than the dance. Like you feel you got to find like, oh, she's really saying this, but it's a dance track, right? You know, you feel like you got to focus a little bit more. But country, like I really know I have to pay attention because you put a little bit more care and curation.
Cool. So last question. I read somewhere that Beyonce said Cowboy Carter was supposed to come out before Renaissance. And the reason Renaissance came out first, because she felt like, from COVID, everybody was really inside and, feeling down from the pandemic, that people just needed to dance. Cool. I'm really not mad at that. But do you think it would diminish what Renaissance was, or do you think Cowboy Carter would have been better suited coming out before Renaissance?
I think Cowboy Carter would have did the same amount of justice as Renaissance. Like if you compare the albums, like to me, Cowboy Carter is more feel good all around compared to Renaissance. So in my opinion, I don't think it would have made no difference. She probably should have put out Cowboy Carter first, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Oh, that's what's up.
I mean, because Renaissance is fun. It's a tribute to ballroom. If you're familiar with ballroom and Paris is Burning and stuff like that, that's cool. It's feel good, but I don't know, something is really special and like sitting on the front porch, like with your grandma, just watching the sunset, something like that, having a conversation. That's the vibe that Cowboy Carter gave me. So I feel like she could have definitely got that one out first, without diminishing Renaissance.
Let me ask you this, Brittnee. I know because you stay outside. If you follow Brittnee's Instagram, check the geotag. She's outside.
Facts.
But if Beyonce announces a tour, would you go to see Cowboy Carter? Like, would you like?
Beyonce, I ain't got it, girl. I ain't got it.
I was just for the X-Day too.
So I would go, but Beyonce can't do any old school. Like Beyonce can't do any Renaissance. She can't do none of that. It's got to be a strictly country ordeal. Like I feel like at this point, with how she did Renaissance, we don't need no repeat songs. So whatever she did on Renaissance, cut that out for Cowboy Carter.
That would make sense because that tour was last year, right?
Yeah, Renaissance was
just happened. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So I get that. So
I think she should give like the fans a break, because if you look at the landscape of music, everybody's on tour.
Everybody on tour this year.
Everybody's on tour.
I would imagine. So clearly she's gonna go on tour, right?
Oh,
She definitely going on tour.
Man, what?
But I imagine it will be next year. Like she just got off tour last year. Like I imagine she needs to break, rest up, play with your children.
Maybe if she drops like Act 3 next year. You know what I'm saying? Like then you can combine
Do
those.
both. Ooh,
I'm more here for that. I'd rather her do that one
because you get more to play with. Like I just got off tour, fans. What else can I add besides this country set? Now, if I get 2 albums worth of material, boom, like we can play.
You know what's crazy? Now that you just said that, I wouldn't be surprised if she dropped Act 3 later on this year. That would be crazy because then now you can tour both next year. Because you know the tickets gonna go on sale during tax time.
Yeah, so 25 is gonna be up though. So
that's crazy.
And you can, and like I said, if you look at like Renaissance, especially with like the movie and stuff, you can tell that a lot of thought went into the whole setup, the whole vision of Renaissance, and what she wanted us to see, like the visuals. Like if you've been to the concert, like you literally could tell like she put a lot of thought into that tour. And I just want her to take her time with this one because I just don't want her to just pull up and everybody just showing up in like some rodeo clothes. Like, yeah, I'd rather her. And I'm almost positive, being that how long Beyonce was recording on this, she probably already had something in place. But girl, you don't need a tour this year. Wait till next year. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, clearly, we have reached the end of our day.
Listen. First of all, Brittnee, thank you so much for joining us. This was a dope episode. Yeah, hit that applause. Oh, the cheering. Okay. The cheering and the applause. All of it. Before we get out of here, leave the people with your social media where they can follow you, where they can follow your favorite marks, and where they can read your articles.
Alrighty, so personal page, y'all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That is B Ray Jones, BeeRayJones. Over at your favorite marks, Twitter is your fave marks, and then on Instagram is your favorite marks spelled all the way out. We actually just dropped an episode actually with one of your frat brothers, Ralph, Keith Johnson, which was really, really good. It's a lot of 6 degrees of separation amongst us, so that was a good episode. So make sure y'all check that out. And then you can find me on Fansided. I'm working on my bio now, but in the meantime, you just look up AudioFix_FS on Twitter. That's where you'll be able to find my posts. If you click the bio link, you'll have all the writers on the side. Find my name, bam, all my stuff. Working on something tonight, hopefully. And of course, for Confession of a Pop Culture Freak, that article is being released tomorrow. And that is, what did I write about? Actors that turned down famous roles.
Okay.
A lot of shocking ones on that one. So
yeah, we looking forward to that for sure.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, there's no song of the week, so YouTube, y'all getting out of here at the same time as the audio. So episode 224. Ralph, anything left for the people?
Hey man, you know how we give it up. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thank you to Brittnee once again for gracing our platform. You know what I'm saying? Always game for sure. But if you see this link, just share it with everybody because always is for the streets.
And with that, that's episode 224.
224.
And we out.
Chill.
Peace.